Hey y'all, Ramdino here, coming at you again from what has become winter in North Carolina. And looking at these videos from the trail, it's just making me cold, just shivering watching some of those, particularly those I've seen up at Grayson Highlands where it was really cold and this pretty good elevation up there, and just some other these videos, a lot of snow on the ground. Love the Appalachian Trail in the winter, love it when there's snow on the ground, love the views that you get so much more than any other time, but boy, it looks cold out there. Anyway, let's get on and talk about what's going on with the 2020 and 2021 thru hikers. So before we get to that, little housekeeping: subscribe to this channel, go down and look in the description section and you'll find a link to the 2020 that are still out there and to the upcoming 2021 hikers. And if you're a 2021 hiker, we want to include you on that hiker support list with your social media channels. So be sure you go. There's also a link there in the description section for that form that you can find to fill out, and it'll automatically put you on that list. If you need to make some changes, get back to me. I'll have to make those changes for you. It is closed source. Now, let's talk about what's going on in 2020 hikers that are out there. So we got Braid. She is under 100 miles. So a couple days ago, she posted a video. She was at 89. So she's probably getting somewhere right around 50-ish. So she's definitely going to be home in time for Santa Claus. And that was her big goal. So unless the weather becomes an issue or something, she'll make that Christmas deadline. Mighty Bones, he has made it to Hampton, took a day off to go see a good friend of his in town, or in the general vicinity, but he is going to be getting back out there and on his way to Roan Highlands. Crash Bash and Whole Foods, they have made it through Grayson Highlands. There was one of the videos that I watched where it was really, really cold conditions, it looked like, up there with the ponies. But anyway, they've made it to Damascus, and they're continuing on south. And then Redbeard, we've been reporting on him and updating him, and he has decided to get off for the 2020 season. He will be getting back on 2021, but he just didn't want to finish his hike with all the ice and the cold and stuff, and that's perfectly understandable. I get cold too, so, and the ice can be dangerous, but in any case, he will be getting back on in 2021. And then we did have a summit that I didn't report on from a couple weeks ago, and this summit was Here's Why. He summited at Springer, so congratulations to him, and that's awesome for him to get a chance to do that and to finish his thru hike. So what's up with the class of 2021? Well, registrations are up. Last week we had NOBO of 1,407, and this week our NOBO registrations are 1,553. Flip-floppers of last week was 65, and this week there's 72. And last week we had SOBO registers of 46, and this week we have 53. So that is up 160 folk from last week for a total of 1,678. And also we've maxed out the trail for an additional 2 days. So we were at 4, now we've maxed out the trail at 6 days, maximum being more than 38 people starting in 1 day on the trail. So last year, I believe it was 50 last year, and I think 38's a little closer to what it should be, although when you get people all bunched up and some doing less miles than others, I don't know that might still not be a high number, but in any case, that's the number we got, and that's the best information we have. So those folks will be together down at Springer in Georgia, starting together. On our hiker support list, we've added 16 since last week, and we've added, so now we're up over 125 hikers that are on that list that we're going to be tracking next year in 2021. So if you're not on that list, we'd love to have you on that so we can go and support you and just give you attaboys and keep you jacked up all the way to Springer or all the way to Katahdin or anywhere in between. If you're doing a flip-flop, doesn't matter, we want to support you, and occasionally you might even get some trail magic out of it. So go and sign up for that. Down in the description section, you'll find a link to that form to do so. So we've got our first group of hikers that are going to be leaving here in the next 10 days on January 1. Team Honey Badger was scheduled to leave January 1, but they've had to postpone their hike due to some upcoming medical, not necessarily procedures, but testing that had to be done, and those had to be put off, and they're not exactly sure when that's going to happen. You know, everything going on is still pretty much the medical stuff same way it was in 2020, and so they're kind of in limbo right there, but they still do plan to do their hike. And then Zombie, he gets on the trail January 1, so we do have his social media link down there in that 2021 hikers, so I encourage you to go there and let's keep all these folks pumped up. There's a couple people that were scheduled to start January 1 that we don't have social media for, so there's no way folks can actually get in touch with them and support them. I've reached out to them and hopefully they'll be getting back to me and letting me know as soon as possible. So Trail Angels news, we got Fresh Ground. He is off the trail for 2020. He is back home now recuperating and getting things, getting the van worked on, the cafe, as he calls it. So the Fresh Ground Cafe had a little bit of issues with the front end. He's getting that worked on and he's going to have that up and running in no time, and we'll be back out for his February 14th date, which is his typical kickoff. He is the Valentine's that comes to the trail. So he certainly has a big heart, and we all appreciate everything that Fresh Ground does for the thru hikers and just the hiking community in general, because he not only feeds thru hikers, he feeds anybody that comes up. So Fresh Ground will be coming out with a fundraiser here in the next couple weeks, and I hope that you'll go and support him because he runs that cafe off the support of the hiker community. So he's just kind of the facilitator. He's out here taking the hiker community, what they do, and putting that forward and being the hands and feet of the hiker community. So we greatly appreciate that, Fresh Ground. And of course, we give you all the credit for doing that. I'm sure if you go to his Facebook page at Fresh Ground and Leapfrog Cafe, there'll be places there where he indicates where you can give to him during the fundraiser, and I bet he'd even take some fundraising right now. So go and do that, help support him, help support the thru hikers out there. A little bit of trail news out there. The Great Smoky Mountains National Park, they have a Twitter feed, and through that Twitter feed you can find out when they close the road going into Newfound Gap. So you folks that are still out there, you probably already have got that, but if you don't, that address on Twitter is Smokies Roads NPS. Smokies plural, roads plural, NPS. So I'll leave a link to that down in the description section, but that's their Twitter feed, and they will tell you when they close the road going up to Newfound Gap. Typically it's because of snow, although I have seen it in the middle of summer due to high winds and heavy rains that trees fell down across the road. So typically even in the winter when they have to plow it, they get it open within hours of when they close it, depending on how much snow they've got. If it's ice, that's another thing altogether. Smokies being the elevation that they are subject to ice. So I'd encourage you to go out there. It was closed for about 24 hours here over the past day, but they've got it back open as of right now. So with all the weather coming in, that's possibly coming in this coming week, I'm sure it's going to be closed again, and you'll want to know that. And then the podcast that I had talked to y'all about, I told you that I'd be putting together. It's going to be called Ramdino Hiking and the Appalachian Trail, and it goes live on Monday, December 21st at 6 a.m. So the whole point of that podcast is just to make it a little easier for hikers that are out there on the trail that listen to my updates, for them to be able to download that. It's a whole lot easier to do a podcast, download a podcast, obviously, than a YouTube. Some people listen to YouTube as a podcast when they're at home or what have you. But if you don't need the video portion of this, then most of my updates and most of what I put on my YouTube channel will be out on that podcast. But there'll also be some original stuff that may not necessarily be on YouTube that'll be on that podcast. So that debuts tomorrow, December 21st at 6 a.m. I hope you'll go to that, download some of those, subscribe to that, and I'd like to get a really big push right here off the beginning so we could score really high, particularly on Apple iTunes, and so they would put us there as a featured and new podcast. And the whole point of it is not only for convenience for hikers out there, but with the hiker community in general, and just so that you and us can build the hiker community, support the hiker community, and support the thru hikers. And so please go and share that. The more people that are part of that, the more people that will join the community and be there not only for thru hikers, but for section hikers, and just be a part of the community, because I think we are stronger as a group than we are separated. So And I look forward to y'all doing that. And of course, I'll be continuing here with this YouTube channel. And that'll be listed on all the major podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple, iTunes, iHeartRadio, all of those. So please go and subscribe to that. And once you've watched it, please give me a review, and I'd greatly appreciate that. Well, folks, that's all I've got. I just want to say a Merry Christmas to y'all. We'll be having one more before the end of the year, but hope you have a very Merry Christmas. Remember the reason for the season. And as always, appreciate you, and we'll see you out here.